English, good morning.
Good morning, Guy.
Are you nervous?
Oh, look, an election's always tough. We've been organised for an election that'll be a challenge to win, and the events of last week probably don't make much difference to that. It's always going to be a hard run to get there.
Any difference? Much difference?
Well, look, I think it's yet to be seen. Bit of enthusiasm for a new leader, that's understandable. Been through that myself. And
Did you have Bill Mania? I don't recall.
No, probably not on quite the same way.
No.
But the question is the follow through, and that is whether, with a different leader, Labor have any different policies. And the early signs are that they won't. The transport policy is the same as the last 2 or 3 times. I see they're still opposed to partnership schools, which I thought would have been a good opportunity to show some change. So we'll see what happens there.
Let's look at the transport policy that was announced. Both of the major parties putting out transport policies over the weekend. Labor planning to spend $15 billion, light rail from the CBD to the airport, more electric trains. What's not to like?
Well, look, that's their policies. We've been working with the City Council on this ATAP process, which creates a 10-year plan and the funding. So it's $24 billion of the $27 billion is funded. There's still discussion going on over the final bits. I think the one of the issues that came out of that, the comparison is the regional fuel tax, which we don't think is necessary. If you manage the resources well, you can do it without that. And secondly, the Labor policy pulls right back on the east-west link. Now, that's what the core economic project that Auckland needs, because it's all about the traffic in and out of New Zealand's largest industrial area, and for some reason they don't want to do that.
Well, don't we need, though, to think big about Auckland's transport? We've had gridlock, congestion, real issues that everyone who lives in the city knows about. Don't we need to think big? And if it means paying a bit more from a regional fuel tax, don't you think Aucklanders perhaps will be willing to do that?
Well, we've got the big plan with the council, which we've been working on for a couple of years now. So that's the
that's
the $24
the thing, isn't it? Like it's
plan.
the timing. Yeah, but this is like a 30-year plan or something?
No, 10 years. I think now $27 billion. And light rail is near the end.
10 years, though.
Well, that's what, Waterview's opened, that took 9 years. The next bunch of projects are getting underway. The extra lanes on the Southern Motorway, Northern Corridor improvement, now discussion about the busway on the Northwestern Motorway, the East-West link. So Auckland has got the biggest ever infrastructure pipeline out ahead of it, and getting it executed on time and in budget is going to what's going to matter to commuters.
Well, let's talk about what might matter to voters. Do you think they're going to pore over the details of these policies at home, or do you think it's going to come down to personality?
In the end, policies matter to them, what affects their lives, and their economic opportunities, their sense of security about where the economy's going, their incomes, those all matter.
Do you think people vote on policy or on personality?
There is some voting on personalities, I think, but by and large, over the years, voters have a pretty clear view of their own interest, and those are largely in New Zealand economic interests, and they also want to see the benefits of growth as we have it spread across the community. Sense of fairness.
Are you in a personality battle or a policy battle?
Oh, definitely a policy battle.
Would you win a personality battle?
Well, yeah, I think I would actually. Not in the sense of who's the coolest or the youngest, but in the sense of getting the job done as Prime Minister.
Yeah. Kelvin Davis described you as having the personality of a rock on the weekend.
Yes, well, construed by many as a compliment, I think. I think he meant it as an insult. I was hoping he'd move on to the rock star economy, because that's part of the same thing. So, look, they're playing their little games there. We've got a tough election because our support needs to be higher so New Zealand can form a good government after the election, and that's what we're focusing on.
Seriously, though, as you've conceded, some people do vote on personality, right? It could be argued that a section of John Key's vote was about that. So do you change your style? Do you change the campaign at all now that you're facing Jacinda Ardern and not Andrew Little?
It doesn't make much difference. And look, I think any kind of change in a well-established view, people have a view, would look artificial and inauthentic. We've got our strategy in place. We're going to follow it. There's a bit of mixing and chaos on the left, and Labor might get up a bit. That's likely.
What's your poll showing?
Well, we haven't done any polling yet, but there will be certainly polling this week, I think, from any number of organisations trying to see what's actually happened.
You haven't actually done any polling yourselves on this?
No, we haven't, but it'll be coming through the system at some stage.
And you'd expect Labor to get a lift?
And I think the people most at risk of that are the Greens and probably New Zealand First, and we'll see if it has any impact on national. But you wouldn't, again, this has all happened very quickly. A whole lot of the public actually are only just catching up with it. They didn't really know the last leader of the opposition, and they may or may not know the name of the new leader of the opposition, but certainly they'll have a hard look at it over the next 7 weeks.
Would you have rathered face Andrew Little in a campaign, though, rather than Jacinda Ardern?
Well, we don't get that choice. That's a choice of the Labor Party. What we have to do is deal with the voters, and the voters, need to see us earning the right to their vote, and that's what we're focused on.
Are you worried, though, that the talk about policy will get crowded out, given that the public and the media have a new sort of shiny toy?
Well, I'd say the media have a new shiny toy. The public's yet to see whether it's a shiny toy. I don't think the policy stuff will get crowded out. I think that it matters to people what happens to their taxes. It matters to them what happens to their job opportunities. I mean, yesterday the most important news was the construction pipeline that shows 200,000 houses will be built over the next 6 years. That's 2 Dunedins and 2 Hamiltons. And that's great. That's real supply coming in the housing market. That matters to people.
All right. Thank you very much for your time and for coming in this morning to the studio. We do appreciate that. That is the leader of the National Party and the Prime Minister, Bill English.
RNZ News at 8. Good morning. It has further lowered its estimate of the number of homes expected to be built in Auckland in the next 3 years. The annual construction pipeline report expects 4,500